Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. Okay. The trifling girl.
Brion said let her in.
It's just on this 80s, this 90s fucking playlist, so it's giving you all of the 90s hits. Niggas in here listening to Bills. All right, so I'm in this. Okay. Can you see anything on your end, Greenspan? I'm in here now where it said the live. I went through this thing. Now I'm on the Facebook page. Is it already zooming? Okay. So all I gotta do now, I can leave that up but go back to the Zoom. Okay. All right. As a he gonna cheers it in the air. Okay, Brion's in. All right.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, look at you, superstar. I'm just gonna go blow my nose. I'll be back. All right, Brian. I'm gonna hit you.
That was too much information.
My phone right here for texting just in case.
What's up, Brion? What's up, Brion? Happy birthday, baby.
Thank you.
Hey. What you doing for your birthday?
We going out in Annapolis to which one to drink? We going out in Annapolis, having a spa day, having a girls' day, going out to a real nice restaurant. You know, something slight because the world low key closed.
Yeah, very.
A little curls falling. Am I clear? Can you hear me and like see me? It's not like glitchy.
You're very clear and not glitchy.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
I ain't got no dope background like you with all the books. I just got window, but you know.
Yeah. You know, I try to make it look like I'm somebody.
Shut up.
This is how we do it.
Tilt the camera up a little bit. I felt like all y'all got was shoulders and like I ain't had a shirt on.
You had a community talk and they'd be buzzing. They're like, Brion on Facebook Live.
And for her birthday.
It's Leo season, baby.
Hey.
This is how we do it. Be more does it like nobody does. This is how we do it.
You're such a clown.
Now I never come back on your old school track. Oh, geez, got the flavor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That song is the shit.
Yo, do you understand that this real quick before we start, we already live, so whoever watching, they already gonna get. So this guy, Eze Jackson, Montel Jordan. So you know this is his biggest solo hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he had a couple others he did great. You know he wrote Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, Deborah Cox.
Right.
He wrote Incomplete Cisco, which is Cisco's #1. Everyone thinks Thong Song is Cisco's #1, and it's not. It's incomplete.
Without you, girl,
exactly.
Life is incomplete.
Do you know that Montel Jordan sold all his publishing for $600,000? And now anytime like this song is getting played right now, he don't get no more royalties off This Is How We Do It.
What was
none of them songs.
Why would you do that?
He was on Hard Times. He sold all his publishing for $600,000. And now he can't make, like right now, this song is playing on my Apple stream and he gets no check.
That's big wow.
Ain't that crazy? Like that song will be played forever.
Right.
And like your kids, like nobody can't eat off that bread.
Cause you know, like people like Mariah January, she ain't making no new music, but every time the holiday season come around, she getting big checks because they playing that holiday music.
The biggest selling Christmas album of all time.
Yep.
Yeah, and that song is stuck in my head literally from the day after Christmas until New Year's.
Hilarious.
All I want for Christmas is you.
I don't need a lot for Christmas. Right.
Getting them big checks.
Let me just make sure that we
I'm gonna move because I'm gonna move closer to the Wi-Fi, so it's not gonna look as
we want to look educated. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you be looking like you in the
for some reason. I think because I'm not as close to the Wi-Fi, it's like glitching up on me. So I'm gonna do this here.
Okay.
There's no AC over here, but I can make it.
We be having to make a lot of sacrifices for going live. I too had to turn off the AC. Nobody knows how hot it is.
Oh my!
It was loud. It was loud. Your AC was loud.
Yeah.
So it's like.
That's still a great backdrop. That's a great backdrop. Got the balcony, the flowers. What's that? Clorox cleanup. Okay, got the Clorox cleanup right there. We know y'all clean around there. That's good. Got the bleach. Well, we're here live. We'll see who's here with us, guys. We're live from Baltimore, Maryland. The show about tomorrow. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is Dermell Brunson, Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center Legacy Alliance, here with wonderful Lady Brion, Mr. Eze Jackson. The show about tomorrow. Special shout out to Mr. Richard Norman, Legacy Alliance, and Morgan State University, the Afro paper. Thankful for this opportunity, platform to speak, and the team that we've assembled. Still pushing forward, guys, to talk and record and have good conversations as we're going through this wonderful 2020. How y'all doing? Brion, Eze, what's going on in y'all world?
I like to tell people I'm a solid okay. It's not really going above that these days. Making it. I think it's just been highs and lows. I try to find the interesting good that has been coming out of this year. And one of those things is, with the arts community, I swear I've been able to connect with artists that I don't think I would have ever met or like been in community with, because Instagram and Facebook Live just allow you to connect with artists around the world who you would have never, been in the same event with. So that's something that I'm appreciative of. And, I've been vibing out in the digital creative space. So that's where I am.
Yeah. That's a cool spot.
Yeah, I've been having fun creatively, in the studio, Epic Fan recording sessions. We've been having a good time doing that. Just finding like Brion was saying, finding different ways to be creative. I've been enjoying that part. I'm not complaining too much. Day 12, no cigarettes. Hey, gang, smoke free, gang.
Whoa.
Get it.
Yeah, you gotta do a step on that. You can't do a 2-step. You gotta do a 3-step on that.
Right,
That's a 3-step. Yeah. You gotta add a step to that right there.
Right. I got a crip walk on that one.
Wait a minute.
Man. Yeah, so it's just it's still a very sensitive time. And the show about tomorrow, here we discuss the future of the Black family in Baltimore. That's our whole energy, our whole mission, to keep conversations going about the future of the Black families in Baltimore. And on every dynamic: education, hunger, homelessness, poverty, mental and behavioral health, opportunities for the economy. Like, what's the thing that's on you guys' heart right now? Just in reference to the city, seeing how the city is going through. We're back on, the whole state isn't back on another level of shutdown, but the city is. We back to restaurants being outdoor only, carry out only. There was a couple of weeks where we were able to go in and social distance and sit inside. That's been lifted. what are you guys' thoughts about that and still how it's impacting our people?
You want go ahead, Brian.
I had muted my mic back. I was letting you go. Okay. It's interesting. I think that there is so much skepticism that people still have about the reality of this pandemic, about if numbers are being bloviated, if people are really suffering the way that they say they are. Some people feel like, it's just like the flu. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get over it. My body is going to build up those antibodies and I'm going to be better off if I just go ahead and get it on the front end. Like, our mamas used to do with chicken pox. So I think that as a result of that level of ignorance, oh, I'm sorry. That's here.
We're live. We're live, folks. That's what you get when you're here live with the show about tomorrow.
But I think with that level of uncertainty and people being confused and not really knowing how it all works, I think that you have this, varying level of people who are getting exposed and exposing other people. You have this resurgence, people having whole parties and get-togethers with, because they just don't believe. And so it is worrisome. It is worrisome that you have so many people that just I don't know, are checked out in such a way. Like I rode down certain parts of West Baltimore and you would think it was a regular day. So hordes of people outside. And so it is worrisome, but at the same time, I think, again, this pandemic, I think, lifts up a number of other issues and disparities that we have. And so people's reaction or skepticism is a result of all the other issues that are present, particularly in Black communities and Black cities. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really don't have anything else to add to what Brion said. Like that's exactly my concern and like what I'm looking at right now. The symptom of distrust and systemic racism, all of these things like playing out through this pandemic it's just really wild to watch. I'm almost impatient for this to be over with because I'm curious to see how we write about this time and how we reflect on it.
Yeah, because and before, well, let me ask you this first, Eze, and you chime in too, Brion, on this. What have you seen that you feel like when you say, systemic issues are coming to the surface and you see the impacts? Like, give us an example of something that's touched your heart.
I mean, when you talk to certain groups of people, right, there's such a distrust of government, such a distrust of the medical system, that people will look at you and say, "Oh, you actually believe that? Are you actually wearing a mask?" You know what I mean? And it's like, I went to visit a relative a couple weeks ago, and they were cooking outside, and I came through. I have a mask on, and they looked at me and said, "Yo, why don't you take that dumbass mask off?"
Right.
And I'm like, I'm like, dumb? No, I'm not taking my mask off, bro. No. As a matter of fact, I'll catch up with y'all later. I just want to stop by and say hi.
Right. Exactly. What about you, Brion?
I would argue the same. Like, it starts with the skepticism, rightfully so, that a lot of people have of hospitals, the medical industry. Even when I'm thinking about the way that they're talking about the vaccine and that, they're working to roll it out in 2020 and, start vaccinating everybody. And I'm like, that's just not how vaccines work. When have we been able to encounter a new virus, create a global pandemic, and in 1 year's time, we have a working right solution. Like, it's like I'm not going to be the first one in line for that shot. Like, I will not.
Right.
And but the idea that there are so many people, especially those with children, who will have to be like forced into that if they want their children to be able to go back to school and these kinds of things, right? And so I think that again, the skepticism of the medical industry is it makes sense, right? It's sensible. But at the same time, I think people's responses on the opposite end of that spectrum, like everything has to be a lie. Nobody is really sick. Nobody is really dying. And I have a number of people who I know personally that had COVID. So I'm not of that sensibility. I believe it. I have seen it. I have been, doing contactless drop-offs of soup and all the things because like people that I know were in the house just sick for a week, right? I think what is also true is that it sort of uplifted all the other things that I think were not working, that this sort of exploded as well. When we look at, so many students not having Wi-Fi, not having computers, not having all these things that, schools were just ignoring before, but this is the time we can ignore that, right? When we need to make sure that students have the resources necessary for their learning environment, right? Or we talk about people who, were housing unstable, or people, the list is long of all the things that I think this pandemic sort of brought up to the surface that we just were not, it wasn't in the forefront of people's minds because it didn't have to be. But one thing about a pandemic is it puts everybody on the same equal footing. Like nobody is safe. Nobody is out of the bounds of this pandemic. And so now all of these conversations become, front and center for everyone, not just the least of these. And so, it's a lot.
And I love what you're saying. I mean, because that's what we're doing. Each of us have dedicated a portion of our lives to looking out for the least of these, the leftover, the lost, the looked over, the last. And so, all of those L's that don't, really sound too good when you think of it. And it's that we need people to show love to the folks that are really, those of us that feel like sitting ducks, not just to the pandemic. Because again, Brion, like you said, all of us as a globe with 7 billion people on it, all of us are really, going through this together. But there are levels to it, and there are responses to, how people, are able to respond. But it's serious. I mean, the population that's most vulnerable, even if you're rich, like yesterday or 2 days ago, Herman Cain, God rest his soul, passed away from the coronavirus. He's a rich guy. So you think that rich people are passing away from it. The idea, like you said, Eze, without family and friends and loved ones in the community, folks thinking that it's not real, that it's not going to happen to those like us that are on a bottom up, coming up with our lives. It's happening, and it's a big deal. I mean, one of the companies just inked a deal with the government for clinical trials and development of the vaccine. It was a $2.1 billion deal.
Yeah.
Just with the government. So these pharmaceutical companies are inking deals with the US government to be able to run these clinical trials, do research, develop the vaccines, and all the other precautions that come along with it. It's already turned into big business. What do y'all think about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you study America or the world in general, like everything turns into big business, right? I mean, Amazon is killing it right now because people have to be home and they're spending a lot of money on Amazon. Consequently, working there is a revolving door. So you have people getting there, start working there, and they're like, oh no, this is a slave ship. Mm-hmm. And then, they're quitting, but nobody cares because there's all these people who need a job. So it's like, so they don't have to value workers. They don't have to do right by the workers. They don't have to take care of the workers at all because the supply and demand is so big that they can keep that revolving door of the slave ship going. Yeah. These kind of things are happening because every time something happens, somebody figures out a way, oh, we can make money off of that.
Yeah.
Which is the nature of the beast, but our people really have to be careful right now.
Yeah, and keep and folks that are watching, folks that will be watching, for those that'll catch this on the record, wash your hands, wear your mask, make sure
spray down surfaces.
Spray down surfaces in your car. Clorox cleaner with bleach, Clorox cleaner.
Not in your mouth.
No, not like your president told you that he would take. Not like that, guys. Just on your surfaces. Keep it away from kids. Watch it. And so it's been a long haul. Over these months. I feel like the year has just. It's like I told somebody the other day. It feels like everything is in slow motion but moving fast at the same time. It's like a weird feeling because it's already August. And we start, we just all lost a real chunk out of the year and out of life with these months that, the morale, we have to keep our morale up, stay in love with each other, stay connected, stay thankful, stay in a forgiving mode, all of the positive energies to think on the pure and the lovely and the good report thoughts and try to put that energy into the atmosphere. You said something that was powerful, Brion, that really, is another big issue that then links into what you said, Eze, about big business, and that's education. Yeah. So, education is really interestingly taking a hit. Now, come on, we understand that the way the education system is created in our country is to support the workforce and to support the economy. That you send your kids off to school at age 3 or 4, preschool if you can, or interested, or Head Start, and you basically have in the public school system childcare through the time that they're able to drive and buy a pack of cigarettes at age 18, right? And then you're telling them to go out, you're kicking them out, right? It's time for them to go try it on their own. So for that period of time, it's really you got 8 hours out of each day, 5 days a week to send your child for education, but really it's giving you an opportunity to do what? Support the economy, go to work. And so this idea that we're not sending kids back to school, right? Again, it's virtual learning. You talked about, Brion, that there's a limited Wi-Fi access, limited computer access, device access for kids to log in. I know at LTYC, we were thankful and blessed and fortunate to be able to, in two important cities in the Mid-Atlantic, Baltimore and DC, where we serve, we were approved at the end of March, early April, to transition all physical arts programs to distance learning. But we found very swiftly that maybe a third of the kids were logging on. So that says in a class of 30 kids, maybe 10 of them or less were logging on consistently, which is a major concern because in inner cities, we know that the public school system, is struggling to meet the needs of Black and brown children and kids impacted by poverty of all races. What do you guys think about, that, and what can we begin to do and mobilize the fact that our kids are losing so much educational time and they're already behind, and now they're going to, unfortunately be more behind because of this pandemic?
I mean, I think, it's always been, we've always said that, part of educating young people is educating them at home anyway, right? But it's always been just something that we've said, you know what I mean? I don't think a lot of families really take the initiative these days to really teach. I fall short myself as a parent, but we have been trying to keep my daughter involved in some of these online things. Like last week, she took a coding class. You know what I'm saying? The week before, she took an acting class. There's all of these kind of things out there, but it takes the parents finding them and setting them up and saying, and also it's a great opportunity to teach children about time and scheduling. I've noticed that with my daughter, when I've been able to be like, hey, here's access to a cell phone, a clock. You have coding class at 2:00. You know what I mean? And then so she'll be 9 next week, but she's like, she takes it very seriously. She's like, it's 1:30, I got a half hour before my class. You know what I mean? Like, these are things I think we can do at home to start. I mean, and we've had to do them ourselves, a lot of us, as adults, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and now Zadie. Now, both of your daughters Leos like Brion and myself, or?
Yeah. Yep. My eldest will be 15 on the 5th, and my youngest will be 9 on the 7th.
You hear that, Brion?
So, yeah.
Easy bred 2 Leo children like us.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Shout out to Selah. Shout out to Zadie.
Yeah, I'm a Virgo. I love Leos though. Leo is always
right.
Yeah, I got Leos, Pisces, Scorpios thick in my life, and mad Virgos. That's my squad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You just threw me on a tangent when I remember you, because when you say she's 9, I'm like, wow, she's about to be 9. So
yeah.
And you've raised her, and her mom has raised her. She's very expressive. She says what she feels. She pays attention.
Yeah.
She
and we gotta listen to our kids too. You know, I mean, I think I've been learning a lot from her in terms of where I may have neglected. You know what I'm saying? Thinking, well, if I just put her in front of the laptop or put her in front of the phone, that'll occupy her for a while. But then she's last couple of days, I'm like, yo, I'm bored. You know what I mean? I want to do something, you know what I mean? And I find her being more interested in things. So she's been learning stuff. We have we grow food and stuff around. We got 2 gardens. So she's been learning a little more about that type of stuff. Baking, she's been learning more about baking. She really likes that. All these things, I think this is a great time for people to get to know their children more and find out what their learning interests are. I had a friend of mine, I'm surrounded by musicians. I had a friend of mine give her a guitar. She walked around every day with it for 2 weeks until I started talking about lessons. And then she put it down and she's like, nah, I'm not interested no more. You know what I mean? But it's like, I'm not going to force her to take guitar lessons. Right. If that's not what her interest is, you know what I mean? Right. So I mean, just from my perspective, I think this is the perfect time to really get to know our children and find out where their desires are, where their strengths are, where their intelligence is, and take it upon ourselves to teach them. I'm blessed that my older 2 daughters have been homeschooled by their mother since middle school. She took them out from elementary school. She's been homeschooling them. So they are already used to this, so they have full schedules of things that they're learning, doing on a regular basis. And she's amazing with that. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? I think more parents should empower themselves and take that on and figure out, what that is. You build I'm sorry, I'm talking so long, but I feel
this is great.
I'm gonna wrap up on this, but I feel like we have opportunity to build a closer bond with our children while also teaching them a lot more than what the schools were offering. Bingo.
Yeah, I feel like, so I don't have any children, so take this with a grain of salt. No, just kidding. But I think that one of the things that, and this is connected to what Eze said, is, we can't assume that everybody has the skills, right, to take learning into their own hands and reproduce that at home. It's so you got a lot of people who are still working full-time jobs. Sure. And then also trying to figure out, okay, how do I make sure that my children are able to get full educational experience during this time, right? Or people who that is just not their calling, and so they are pulling their hair out trying to figure out how to keep their young people engaged. I think one of the other things that is true about the educational system is, we recognize it's kind of this, conveyor belt model where it's very cookie cutter. You expect young people to all go through the same experience and come out the same way at the end. It's not about an individualized experience where you are thinking about what is best suited for that particular young person or what their interests are. That's just not how it's set up. And so at the end of the day, some of the things that Eze is talking about, I think kind of breaks people outside of their comfort zone and what they're used to, which is, I say do this and you're going to do it and you're going to sit at your desk for, 8 hours a day and do this work. Like that.
Right.
That's not the reality. It probably should have never been the reality, but now it's like we are in a space where we really have to get creative and figure out how to make sure young people are best impacted. I like, one of my friends, her son is in like a summer camp right now, and it's a great summer camp program because they send packages every week, and it's all the things you need to participate like in the camp for, that week. And for me, it's like, that's probably, I'm sure the resources are not there, but that's probably how schooling should be online as well. It shouldn't just be young people are sitting in front of the computer, but here's your package of learning for the week, right? And it's coming with all these different things that are engaging young people, like with their hands and like in their space and in their environment, and not just staring at a screen. Because I'm a whole adult and I am so zoomed out. I'm so Google Meet out. I'm so, you know what I mean? I'm like, please, not another meeting where I'm just sitting in front of the screen. So to expect young people to do the same is just, it's not realistic.
Like what we're doing it right now. Like, I mean, again, I can't wait to, and I'm hoping next show, our September show, we'll be able to be back social distance and in some type of, whether it's the office or a studio where we can have more space and have our guests, our executive producer, Brian Greenspan Dawkins. Shout out to Brian Greenspan Dawkins from Baltimore with Love, our executive producer. He has a couple of cool guests lined up for us for September and October shows. And so I'm zoomed out. In addition to regular emails, texts, and phone calls, I guess I'm averaging about another 2 to 3 Zoom conference calls a day, even on Saturdays and Sundays for other projects that I'm, working in and a part of. Thankful for to have the opportunity for people to even want to Zoom with me about anything. So I'm thankful, but at the same time, it is like, oh God, I gotta get another Zoom. So imagine kids having the initiative to log on, but then also those parents. See, my heart goes out for the parents that have, not only if you got one kid, but what if you got 2 or 3 in the crib, and you gotta different ages, and you gotta log them all on and do their work and make sure you're still getting them up. You're thinking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner now because you're in the crib, and now your job has been postponed or delayed or hours cut or not at all, right? Even if you are getting some assistance, food assistance, unemployment, things are stressful, things are tight, everything's slow for people who are trying to do, some level of business. I heard recently from a friend that Hollywood is trying to figure out ways to get back rolling. We see now, I'm a happy guy this week because the NBA is back, sports is back, baseball is back, but we had a whole team, that's been tested positive since the Miami Marlins, like half the team, came back. The game they had against us, the Orioles game, which was our home opener got canceled because, half that the Miami Marlins baseball team tested positive. And so Adam Silver and the leaders of the NBA are doing a great job right now with what they have laid out for the NBA season to continue. But it's a lot of precautionary measures taking place into it. And, it's concerning to know that there are a lot of folks that don't have these accesses to keep pushing through. We see big business, they're having to do mega decision-making processes in order to push through, right? Just to make it work. I mentioned the NBA. The NBA, took their line of credit from $500 million, 500 million. They had to extend their line of credit to 1.2 billion just to make it through the pandemic. So they were forced again back to, like you said, Eze, big business, forced to bring the season back to resume it for their contract purposes, right? Think about what else is being forced. We tried to force back restaurants. We're trying to force back airlines. We're trying to force back malls and retail. We're trying to force back.
You got people trying to force back schools.
Schools. But because, again, school is big business. Education is big business, right? Mm-hmm. And whether you're talking about the people connected, vendors that are working, school buses. Think about all the school buses, those contracts that they're hurting. Yeah. That, you ain't, what about that? A lot of people.
And it's funny to see the administrations, Hogan, Bush, Trump, I've been thinking about it because for some reason, Bush has been coming up a lot lately in like comparison. I feel like people forgot that era ever happened now that Trump is so terrible. But with Trump right now, there's a pastor that's sick from being at the Tulsa rally. There is Herman Cain, who died from being at the Trump rally. And yet they're still pushing all of this reopening and still pushing like this stuff. And it's like, oh wow, like Black lives don't matter, even on the side where the Black people also agree that Black lives don't matter. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got the Black anti-Black Lives Matter people dying for it's insane. Like, what is 2020? Jay-Z has locks. I don't know. Like, if you would have told me 20 years ago this was the world we were living in, I would not believe you.
I wouldn't believe it either. And it's so funny. It's a fact. And you bring up Jigga. The thing about it is, again, this content is being pushed out. I checked into the other day. We all over the place right now. And if you're watching, you just tuned in. This is Lady Brion, Eze Jackson. I'm Dermell Brunson. This is the show about tomorrow. Shout out to the Legacy Alliance, Mr. Richard Norman and his leadership. MSU School of Urban Social Work, Dr. Michael Sinclair, Dean McFadder, the whole crew over there for showing us love in this time. The Afro, Jessica Dortch, the team, the folks there, the Afro Paper, who've made it possible for us to push along this journey of the show about tomorrow. We discussed the future of Black families in Baltimore, and I don't know how many Black families were able to chime into the Disney streaming, but I did. To watch
I did.
Black is King. Beyond the show should have been called Beyonce is Queen, because it was really about Beyonce showing off all these great costumes and dance moves, and Jay-Z with his locks, and Lil Blue Ivy and the crew, and something inspirational for people to look at and see themselves in a powerful way. What do you guys think of as two very important artists to Baltimore? What do you guys see and believe in reference to the arts continuing to help shape lives and build morale during this time?
It's interesting because I don't look at it any different than the role artists have always played. Like, it's not different during a pandemic or a global uprising. It becomes more necessary because you have people who are suffering from hopelessness. You have people who really go into dark places that some of them can't even articulate that it's connected to what's happening in the world. Because specifically for a lot of folks in Black communities, like, it's oppression every day. And so you have a global pandemic and they're just like, oh, it's something else. And they don't recognize when they really hit those low moments that, like, this is a different time. Like, this 2020 is a very different time. Despite having hardships potentially throughout your whole life, this is a very unique experience. And one, it's necessary to continually check in and find ways to, support yourself, self-care, to feel good, to connect with people, even if you can't be in close quarters with people. And I think that the artists, the entertainer, the cultural bearers, that's where they come in, but that's where they've always come in, right? Yeah. So they help document these times. They help to articulate the thing that we can't quite say, laugh, right? To take your mind off of what's happening. We talk about, we talk about Amazon getting a whole lot of play. I'm sure the level of viewership that Netflix and Hulu is getting during this moment is like unprecedented. Like, I have binge watched so many shows at this point. It's just ridiculous that I'm getting anything done. And so, and I look at, when I think about Netflix, like, that's the entertainment industry, right? When I'm thinking, so in Baltimore in particular, like, I feel like we have that same role. So at the Black Arts District, like, we consistently were thinking about, okay, what can we do online to get people engaged? How can we give artists a platform to do their thing? And we're about to ramp up another. We doled out about $10,000 over the first few months of the pandemic, and now we're trying to gear up to do another like $5,000, not just to support the artists, but to support the curators. So we're looking to take this next $5,000 and sponsor whatever the curators are doing, because they don't get enough love for creating the spaces that the artists can do their thing. So we want to, you know, sponsor some curators so that we can just keep things alive and well, and keep people engaged and not just so absorbed and, you know, consumed in how hard these times have been.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the time for creatives to get creative, like not to be corny or nothing, but if there was ever a time where we could really show the hell off, it's right now. I'm like Brion on like the live performances. I'm not a fan of the online performances, like the, you know, maybe it's me being older, I don't know. But like the sidewalk serenades, these kind of things. Shout out to the girl Zadia, who was doing like vacants tours. So she was going around the city to different vacant properties and performing in front of those properties. And wow. I found out that the first weekend they raised over $2,000. Just doing that. You know, you and I have been Sundays and Wednesdays having these recording sessions, you know, bringing out artists from Epic Fam together and recording. There is so many things that we can do. Shout out to my friend Melissa Wimbush, she's one half of a group called Outcalls. And she just tweeted something earlier today that I thought I've been thinking about a lot. She said to somebody that venues closing are not the end of music because the venues don't make the music. Right. And I was like, wow, like as an artist who has, you know, most of my career has been performing in venues, there was this moment of like heartbreak, you know what I mean? Because like, wow, we don't have the spaces. Well, it's time to create the spaces, like Brion was saying, you know what I mean? This is the time to create the new avenues and the new ways of doing things. And so I think that if you're an optimist like me, this is an exciting time for creatives.
Yeah. And also shout out to all the arts educators, right? Yeah. Who are also, you know, when thinking about education, like creating other opportunities where it's not just focused on like your core studies, but I mean, Eze was laying it out. You could take all kinds of classes right now. A lot of them for free, because you have all these artists that are just looking to do something with their art form. So it's like, you want to learn to play the piano? You want to learn to paint? Like, what do you want to do? Like, you probably could find someone doing a class right now online, and you should take hold of that. $2 for that Cash App, so these artists can continue to be great. And you can also
Cash App them a little something. Cash App them something.
Exactly. So it's a very interesting time in that way.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, I love what you're both saying. I think people take for granted really the power of the arts, music as a healer for sure, but all the arts as outlets, as conduits for self-expression, as therapeutic, you know, expression, therapeutic bonding techniques, bringing folks together, and also just to continue on a journey of promoting mental and behavioral health. Again, you know, the work that we do with the Legacy Alliance is connected to child welfare agencies, and those agencies in Baltimore and around Baltimore that mostly are Black-led, minority-led, women-led, that are serving young people who are in care, who are in group homes, who are going through, matriculating through the DJS system, who need DDA support. And we are on a mission at LTYC, partnering with the Legacy Alliance, to always keep the arts as a forefront of not only treatment, but also opportunity, expressiveness, and then even career tracks, you know, understanding that, you know, the arts produces opportunities for young people to gain careers, whether it's fashion and cosmetology, media arts, technical support. You know, again, I just listed things that are behind the camera. We know about the in front of the camera stuff, the dancing, the acting, the singing, the being a musician. But what if you are an engineer? What if you are a tech engineer? What if you're a lighting designer or a sound designer? What if you are involved in cosmetology or fashion? And so keeping those opportunities, whether it's, online, promotion of concerts like the Black Arts District did, whether it's Epic Fam producing music and bringing creatives together, whether it's creative mornings, what you're doing, Brion. Tell us a little bit about creative mornings and how you see that really impacting individuals in Baltimore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you never heard about Creative Mornings, it is it's an expansive network. I think they have 200 different Creative Morning locations. One of them is in Baltimore. And so every month they come up with a theme, and all 200 locations do a Creative Morning speaker series based on that theme, right? So this month's theme was Underdog, and I was asked to participate and talk about the Black Arts District using that theme. And I thought it was interesting and appropriate because I'm like, when you think about the underdog story, like it's that one that everybody counted out, that nobody thought was going to happen, right? That nobody thought was going to make it out on top. Nobody was betting on the underdog. And then by the end of the story, you see him on top. It's great, rah, rah, right? I said during my Creative Morning talk, and I guess let me go back really quickly. They always happen really early in the morning, like 9 a.m. So it's really interesting because hundreds of people participate. And it's like, why none of y'all was doing anything at 9 a.m.? That's crazy. Like being a person who's not a morning person is amazing. That right. Between 9 and 10:30, it's like there were 100 people here. What? Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, they usually have, when it's in person, they usually have breakfast and some activities and some learning and sharing. They do this give and get thing where it's like, what can you give to community? What are you looking to get from community? So, like I might write on the board. I'm a poet. So if you need a poet, I can give that. But I run an organization and I'm looking for a graphic designer. That's what I'm trying to get. Something like that, right?
Yeah,
So they have a really expansive and amazing network and so many people are plugged in. But what I talked about as a part of this underdog theme was that, who's the better underdog? Like, what is a better underdog as a metaphor? Just to me represents Black people in America. Like, I was like, can we just start there? We are the ultimate underdog story. Like our consistent ability to like continually survive, like our resilience, like we are constantly fighting. And in the midst of everything that have tried to destroy us, finding ways to come out on top, finding ways to reinvent ourselves, finding ways to just persist, right? And so I started with that. I was like, I know it's 9 a.m., but we gotta go there. And then I talked about the Black Arts District because I feel like it is yet another underdog story. Like Eze was one of the first people. Matter of fact, Eze was the first person who interviewed me about the Black Arts District. And the interview was set up in such a way where it was like, we're talking to Lady Brion with the Black Arts District project. At the time, it wasn't a thing yet. And talking to other people who were like, why Pennsylvania Avenue? Why would you do that? Like,
wow. That's the history. That's it.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite parts of that was I interviewed a Black business owner in the Station North Arts District. And I was thinking that he would be like excited for a new Black Arts and Entertainment District. And this brother sat down with me and said, I don't think it's necessary. And I was like, what?
And he was not alone. That's the thing. He was not alone. There were so many people while they would, in one breath, recognize the legacy and history of artistic excellence and Black excellence on Pennsylvania Avenue. They were also like, that was the past.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they've given up on Pennsylvania Avenue just as much as any white people in Baltimore have. You know what I mean? It's like I forgot. It's almost like, oh, just leave it and let it be the way it is now. It's like what? That's crazy.
No.
And I think there was so much reticence and so much skepticism and so much people just really questioning, like, you really think you can pull this off in Baltimore City where, it's hard to do anything these days? And I just had to approach it with all of the hopefulness and creativity and gumption and grit that Baltimore has taught me. Like, we're going to make it happen. And it literally was for me this underdog story, because a year later, which I learned was fast. I didn't know people wasn't turning around arts districts in a year's time. But and a year later, when we had the actual press conference, it's being designated, people are like, well, what do you know? I'm like,
Yeah.
I never would have guessed it. And so, I talked about that. And I talked about all the challenges that came with it as, a young woman who's under 30, shout out to, August 3rd when I turned 30 though. But at the time, I'm under 30. I'm a young woman in a community organizing space that was dominated by men. So I come into space and nobody's even trying to let me talk, right? Wow. My family actually, I have a lot of family in West Baltimore, but I was raised in East Baltimore. So they were also like, you wasn't born on Pennsylvania Avenue. You don't live in Pennsylvania. Like, you can't do this work. I'm like, Baltimore is not big enough.
Right. To be, it's not. It's really not. It's
territorial, right? So there were all of these things that made this really difficult. And so I was like, when you said underdog, they were like, I don't know if you'd be comfortable talking on that. I'm like, we are the ultimate underdog. So
ultimately.
Absolutely. And it was a great time. It was a great time. I mean, it was Zoom, so that presents its own challenges, but we had a good time, and I appreciate it. So Creative Morning definitely creates platforms for all types of creative enterprises, arts entrepreneurs, arts organizations, entertainment, all kinds of individuals in their different iterations of the industry and field to give presentations about the work that they're doing in Baltimore, the communities that they're affecting, and allowing people to get connected and network as a result. So it's a 100% volunteer platform that's doing major work.
Hey, as you're wrapping that up, Lady Brion here, host of Show About Tomorrow. She's talking about the Black Arts District. Creative Morning's been an extension of that. Creative Mornings Baltimore. Just let folks know where they can get to be involved with the Black Arts District and Creative Mornings.
Absolutely. So, as a part of Creative Morning, I talked about some of the things that we're looking forward to. And so some of those things is even though the world is still halfway closed, we still want to start planning for programming that we want to do in 2021 to support Black creatives who are trying to professionalize or monetize their art form or get connected to other artists, connected to venues. We also talked about some creative placemaking projects that we want to do in West Baltimore in connection with BOPA and T-Row Price. This is going to include, branding the district, but also we want to do some outdoor arts installations in Pennsylvania Avenue. So we're looking to connect with artists to help inform this process. So if folks are looking to connect with us and get plugged in, our website is www.blackartsdistrict.org. We're also on social media at official Black Arts District on Instagram and Facebook. So please, please, please connect with us. Hit us up. And I'm Lady Brion. So if you want to connect with me personally, it's Lady B Speaks on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Lady B Speaks, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. blackartsdistrict.com. This is a beautiful thing. It's helping people. .org is, thank you. blackartsdistrict.org. And it's helping people, bring folks along. The story has just begun. It's just a revolution. We're in a season where the revolution from Baltimore must be televised. We must televise this revolution. We must talk about what's happening in the hearts and homes of the people that are from Baltimore. There are a lot of great people, great families, great ideas, great curators, great artists, great teachers, educators, business people, community activists, leaders that are still in this city that have a heart for the people in the city, not just a heart for how much money they can put in their pockets. And the future of the Black family in Baltimore is consistently connected to the willingness for people like Brion, like Eze Jackson, like the folks in the city to lay their lives down for the sake of the work, to really connect to what's really important for people to really get ahead and push forward. I just want to, again, send love to everyone going through this tough time, folks that have had people in their family affected by the pandemic and COVID directly with, being diagnosed or, being tested positive and affecting their health in any serious way or losing their lives. But also, man, indirectly, people who had family members going in and out of hospitals and passing away for things unrelated to COVID, but how it put a damper and a strain on you being able to go visit folks in the hospital, take a peek at their treatment and care. You have loved ones in a nursing facility or a convalescent home or a senior facility you can't visit, and it's really a lot of strict rules. I've had close friends lose family members, and you know, it's uncomfortable times where you can't even do your normal wake and repast and go connect with family to send love and send that person off into the afterlife in a place of love. So again, the show about tomorrow, we're thinking about you guys. We're sending out love. I want to encourage everybody to do your best to stay diligent with some small things, drinking water, you know, exercise, and even if it's just taking a walk. You know, look at Easy, boom, right on the spot, spot on. Look at Brion, spot on. The water drinkers in the house. Drink that H2O. The earth is 70% water, and so is our bodies. It's always an amazing parallel to me, and I'm always on a journey every day to try to do my best to drink more water, exercise, try to listen to some good music, you know, get some rest, you know, try to do things for relaxation that's healthy. Again, we all have our things that we do. I'm gonna look away because I don't want nobody to know all of them. I can't tell y'all all my sins, but everybody has the things that they do that helps them to be relaxed. I'm encouraging us to pay attention to fruits and vegetables and herbs and spices and, you know, water and walking and incense and candles and things that can also help with relaxation, rejuvenation, and keeping our spirits lifted during tough times.
I want to shout out my Twitter followers because they've been holding me accountable on my not smoking cigarettes journey. So if you follow my Twitter at Easy Writer, I do every day. I'm like, today's day 12, and I'll just say a little something about how I'm feeling in the morning, and it's been nice. The very first like 24 hours, I tweeted, I was like, 24 hours without a cigarette, this doesn't feel great, but I think I can do this. And I got like a few hundred like likes and responses of people that were like, you can do it. You know what I mean? So if there's anybody out there that wants to stop smoking cigarettes, I'm here for you. We can do this together.
I'm gonna have to get you on the phone with my dad. My sister brought him a little vaping thing for Father's Day to help him curb his cigarettes. You know, and of course, in times like these where things are slow and you care about your family and your kids, and you know, it causes those stresses to arise. So you go to the comfort thing. Like Brion said, a lot of us, we were clearly confined to our homes and to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney, whatever you got. You know, I got a couple of them myself. I started out with Netflix. I was like, I ain't getting no Hulu. I'm not getting nothing else. And then I broke down and I went on and got the trifecta
all
package.
the things.
The joint. No, Amazon, I'm using somebody login. But I got my own. I got my Netflix and a couple people using my login for Netflix. But then I went and got the Disney, ESPN, Hulu trifecta package, which is a great deal because it's still only $12, similar to the Netflix, Hulu, but you get all three. So
we're not advertising for them though.
We not.
It's the advertising check.
Yes, please. Yes.
Listen, you are not being paid right now to advertise for them. So at your own.
But it's just so good. It's so good because in between all these Zoom calls, Brion, I'm like, what can I do? You can't go out. You can't go to the movies. You can't do nothing.
No,
and
this
like,
is
the content ain't all that good though. Some of the content trash.
That was written by a Black artist. That's what you were supposed to say.
Exactly. Name one right now. Name one right now. It's some great Black documentaries on these streamings though. I've been getting my documentary on. That's what I go to. When I'm on those, I'm going straight for the documentary, straight for the history lesson. You know, it's some cool stuff.
You're better than me because right now I'm looking at Umbrella Academy. It's not educational at all. It's
I gotta see Umbrella Academy. Look, I saw that season 2 is up this morning, and I was like, "Damn, I had all these plans to be productive today, and now I'm about to lock in and watch Umbrella Academy."
Absolutely.
Locked and loaded.
I want to also say, take a second and just call some of your friends who live alone. I am a loner. It's just me and my cat. And it's people randomly just call me, and I'm thinking it's business. I'm thinking they need something. They're like, no, I know you by yourself, and you probably know. And it's true. So take a second, think about your friends that are living alone and
You're
give
right.
them a quick FaceTime or phone call out of the blue. I'm telling you, it will brighten their day.
A couple of people have touched my heart on days where I was doing a bunch of Zoom calls and emails and texts and trying to get stuff done and trying to find something, because again, I'm a sports watcher, so no sports for all those months. So I'm like, what can I watch? Let me buy these streaming and look. And then you get these pleasant texts and calls from people like, Dermell, you all right over there? And I'm like, yeah, yo, I'm good. Yo, thanks, man. Like, you checking on me. I'm over here trying to, you know, keep my hands clean and watching. Yeah. Like, thank you, man. Easy. On the way out, man, give, you said a little bit about what you're doing as a visionary, chief visionary officer, founder, first signed artist, producer to Epic Fam Entertainment and Media, Baltimore-based entertainment and media company. Tell the folks a little bit just about what's happening for the summer, what they can expect, and about your work, and give them some info.
Well, right now we are in the early stages of recording a compilation album that what the idea of Epic Fam is to introduce the world to the Baltimore music that we're familiar with. That's not just, you know, it is some trap, it is some street stuff, street, you know, hood shit in there, but not just that. You know, we're not all that. So Epic Fam represents a gambit of different genres, different music. So we've been recording a compilation album I think is really dope. Shout out to one of the Lady Brion's homies, Black Chakra, who came and gave us a fire track. Black Chakra came through and gave us a fire track. And we got, you know, a bunch of different artists. Me and Greenspan, our executive producer, we got a song working on called Cherry Blossom. That'll be one of the first songs coming out. Artist named Wild One, artist named Sierra Leone that I'm excited about. We got a bunch of, it's just a quadri of misfits and artsy,
great vocab.
Creative.
Quadri is a great vocab word.
You know he's a writer, right? He a writer.
Yeah, right. I'm a quadri. It's a quadri.
So I'm excited about that, getting that done. We got some cool videos coming out. My EP, my 7th project is coming out soon. Goals. That should be dope. And yeah, we're just having fun with it. I'm trying. Epic Session. This is something that we're going to start up likely in the fall, where, you know, we'll be shooting some live performances, you know, in our space, which is social distanced and you know, clean. So we'll be doing that. You know, just trying to get the label off the ground, get the music out there, and keep it moving.
Where can people follow and connect to Epic Fam on social media?
Instagram is @BeMoreEpicFam, @BeMoreEpicFam, EPICFAM. And Twitter is EpicFam1, @EpicFam1. And then the website is the website officially up, or?
I think the website is totally official. Yeah.
EpicFamLife.com.
Yeah, man.
I should know that the website is up.
I should know all of this. I don't know none of that. You gotta tell me. I'm asking Brion every time her stuff, and I always forget it. And then and I'm a part of the stuff you doing, and I be forgetting that too. Like, what is it again?
But that's right. That's why we gotta hold each other. You know, we hold each other down. That's what teamwork and family is all about.
When you wear 17 hats, this is what happens.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I had to log into this today, and I didn't know. I asked Brian like 12 times. What's the login again? Gotta log in to. Yeah, this is great stuff. You guys are on the cutting edge of new, fresh movement for our generation, for the generations to come behind us. But it's
a renaissance.
It's a renaissance, 100%. Brion is a renaissance woman. You're a renaissance man. And you guys are using your gifts for good and not evil. And that's a good thing. When you always use your magic powers for good and not evil, it's a powerful thing to see Black people coming together. The future of Black families in Baltimore, guys, that's what we're talking about. Every time you chime into the show about tomorrow, holla at us when you can. We're checking in with the Legacy Alliance, Morgan State School of Urban Social Work, the Afro Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center from Baltimore with love. Show us some love. The Black Arts District, Epic Fan, all sponsors of the show about tomorrow.
LBS, Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle.
Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle.
Yeah.
We can never forget the powerful work that
Yeah.
LBS is doing in the community. Shout out to Adam, Davon, Brion, a crew, everyone over there, Nate Deere, everybody that's connected to that work, doing some powerful work in the community as well. And please continue to show love and support each other, man. In Baltimore, we're a city of neighborhoods. Sometimes we can get in our own silos, our own individuality. We see what everyone else is doing. We love it, but collaboration is key. Love from afar, patronage is important. Go to your Black business owners in their stores, support those businesses, donate to Black-led organizations, but also find ways to collaborate and create together. That's the only way we can strengthen ourselves and save our community during the pandemic and after the pandemic. We still have a lot of work to do in Baltimore. Baltimoreans are resilient. We believe in you guys. We love you guys. The show about tomorrow. Peace.